Welcome back to the Brick Paddock, to where I showcase my LEGO collection. Today we'll be checking out the LEGO Technic MKII crane. This is set 42209 and it was released back in 2013. So this set has 2,606 pieces in it, and it was rated on the old age rating scale from ages 11 to 16. Today, that would be either an 11 plus set or an 18 plus set. It depends how difficult it is or how much of a display piece it is. This set originally retailed for $220 in the US. Before we get into it, I'm gonna kind of tell the backstory of this set. I originally got this set back in 2013 when I was about 9 years old, and this is not the exact set. The exact set, let's say, had a little bit of a bad fate. So the fate of this set was I was way below the age rating because it was rated 11 to 16, and I now know why that's the case. So being the 9-year-old dumb kid I was in 2 weeks. It took me 2 weeks to get 3/4 of this thing done, well, a exact copy of it done. Well, I got upset about something completely different. I picked this crane up 3/4 of the way done and launched it at my wall. A lot of these Technic beams were snapped in half. I only have a select few pieces left of this set that I have found that I was able to salvage off of it, including the motor situation. I salvaged the motors off of it, so it's got the original motor in it. I have changed a lot since I got this. I don't do that stuff anymore. I've matured, and now I decided, okay, let's do another shot at it. And here we are. And ever since that happened, for the past, give or take, 11 years, I have been trying to find one of these, but the values have gone insane. Like, I wanted a brand new boxed version of it. It was going to cost me $500. And I did see at a used Lego store, one of these that was already pre-built, but it was missing big pieces, and they wanted $260 for it. So a couple weeks ago, I was attending a brick convention, and after the brick convention, I stopped by a place called Bricks and Minifigs. So I walk into Bricks and Minifigs, and I go in and I go look around, and the first thing I see is this exact crane. As soon as I saw it, it was $150. I knew I wanted it. And so it was in a glass case. So I went over to an employee and I said, I want that crane. Could you get it out for me? I walked up to the counter. I paid for it. I paid $150 for it. It was really dirty when I got it. I came home and I took it apart because all the functions were broken on it. And it was missing just a few little pieces, but it wasn't like the one that was $260 was missing this entire section. It was missing the other section. It was missing the entire back, and it was missing some other parts and a whole big wheel, but they wanted even more money for it. I don't know why. I come home and I took this apart, cleaned it all up, and now it's rebuilt as you see it here. With that said, let's get into all of the features. There's a lot to cover. Probably the best way to start is that this is the MKII crane. There was, in the early 2000s, I think in 2005, don't quote me on that, there was a mobile crane. I'll put a picture right there. And this is the kind of second iteration of it. And they've done cranes since that are kind of like this, but they're not as big, and they don't have like the motor situation in them like this does. Well, I take that back. They do have the new big $700 crane that you can control with your phone. That's 4 feet tall. I don't have a place for that. I don't even have the money to buy that. And so and I really wanted this just because of like the whole story behind it. I think the best way to start here is to show the engine. You can see that there's an engine in there, and if I move it back and forth, the pistons move up and down. And also, this has got something on it that a lot of people is really controversial in today, but this was back in 2013. There's a knob back here, and it's the hand of God steering. These four wheels turn here. This one is stationary, and the reason this one is stationary and does not move, or I should say fixed, is because this is where the diff is. The differential is under there, and that's what makes the engine move. So these wheels are actually not connected to the engine. The only two wheels are connected to the engine is this one and the one on the other side. Moving back, also, I'll show inside the cab. Inside the cab, there's really not much in there. There's just like a little, I don't know if you can see it very well, like a little steering wheel back in there. Yeah, back in there. That is not connected to the steering, and then there's a couple of little seats. Otherwise, there's not much in there. It's not really that detailed. Also, I did want to point out, this is supposed to have a flat piece on there. That was missing, and the one on the other side was missing. And then it's supposed to have mirrors, but personally, I think it looks a little better without the mirrors because the mirrors don't really look good on this, to be honest. Enough with that. You came here to see the cool stuff with this crane and to see it lift things. So I want to turn your attention over here to this control panel. So this has gears in here, and then it's got like a gear selector inside. And if I turn this, you can see this is the different functions and then the battery box. Moving up here, this did not come with the set. Also, this did not come with the set. I just added this just for the sake of it being a little bit smoother for the video, and plus for future use, because I can use the controller instead of over here and just hold my hand here and I have to go back and forth and it sometimes grinds the gears. Here I can just lift off really fast if it starts grinding gears. We get to the construction site. The first thing we need to do is have the stabilizers come out and down. And there is a problem with the stabilizers. I'll show that here in a minute. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that on. I don't know if you can see it very well. You probably can't. There's a little green light there, and there's also a green light on the battery box that says that we have turned it on. I'm gonna put that to the stabilizers, and I'm gonna push up on the remote. There we go. The stabilizers are out. And here comes the problem that I ran into. This thing is very, very complex, and if you mess one thing up, it won't work properly. I made sure everything was built fine. In my original crane, I did test, and I had the same problem. So there was a little gear in here that the motor would control it. There's a lever on the other side, but it didn't work. So I found out this is actually probably just as effective to go by hand on each one. It does take a little bit longer, but we'll put each one down. I'm not gonna show every single one because it does take a little bit. I'll probably just time lapse it. So there we are, put it down. You'll hear it click, and that means it's fully down. All of the stabilizers are now planted on the ground, and now we can actually start with, I actually have to release the winch, and I'm gonna back this up a little bit because the winch is kind of over here and it's on this little bar over here. I'm not sure if you can see that little bar where you can have the hitch, the hook. That's what I call it, not the hitch. So I'm going to release the winch. So to bring it out, I have to go up, and I've released it. Now I can bring the whole boom up. Whoop. I gotta go down for some reason. I don't know why I did it that way. But you can see here, it's now lifting up via motorized. And this goes up to about 30 inches or so. We'll go up a little bit more, so we hear a click. There we go. It's all the way up. Now we have to actually put the winch down, which I have to kind of guide it with my hand a little bit because sometimes it doesn't go all the way down. If it has a load on it, which I will show here in a little bit, it'll go down. I don't have to guide it with my hand. But we're going to go down a little bit because we have to still extend the main boom. So I'm going to pan way up now. You're going to see my ceiling. And I'm going to go down here to the control panel and then go way down. Yeah. And then go over to the extending the boom a little bit more. Gotta go down, I think. Yeah, there we go. Takes a little bit. So I'm going to speed this up and I'll cut back in when I get it all the way up. having a few technical difficulties with this thing. This thing was so advanced for its time, and it's still advanced for its time. It has so many problems. If you don't do something right, it can mess up in a hurry. There's a cable in here, so we're gonna try this again. It goes up really slow, so I'm gonna time lapse this. Now it's all the way up, and I don't know how well I'm gonna be able to show this, but that's about how big it is. I'll show a size comparison. Maybe I'll bring the Artemis up or my other crane up and I'll show a size comparison. So I have my Artemis here, and I do a lot of size comparisons with this thing, but it really shows like how big it is. The Artemis is about 27 inches tall, and this at its highest height is about the same. I think it's supposed to go up to 30 inches, but otherwise, either way you put it, it's huge. Here's the comparison between my city crane and the MK2 crane. This is a smaller scale overall. You just gotta be aware of that because it is with the city series. This is a Technic series, so they're about the same height. This one goes a little bit more, and the biggest difference is this can take more weight than the city crane. I pulled the rocket booster off of the Artemis so I can use it as a pointer to kind of compare these. Well, if it works, I don't know how well this is going to work, but you can see here with the stabilizers, these go in kind of an X shape, while these come out and there's 4 on each side and they come out more of a horizontal and it's kind of just straight. I'm not sure like which is better. I would say the X shape is better because it kind of gives it all in like a diagonal area. Also with the city crane, it's got a counterweight on it. That doesn't really work that well. I mean, it works a little bit, but not great. This has quite a counterweight on it because the battery box is positioned on the back. And the reason they did that is for counterweight. And it has 6 AA batteries in there, and it is pretty heavy. I think I used one of those battery boxes as a counterweight on this before, and it works really well. And also this one's got the big beefy hydraulics where this has just got Technic beams. If you look at the hooks here, this is called a snatch block. And so what will happen is that you have one cable going up there, and then when it goes down, you can see it's a loop and it goes back in there. And that's to be able to carry more weight, because if it was just one cable, it would not be able to carry as much weight. Same thing on this. It's got the snatch block on it. This also has the cab over style, like the flat. There's no front hood there. Same with this. This one has mirrors. Obviously, this one doesn't. This one has detachable foot plates. This one does not have detachable foot plates. These foot plates are always on there. They just lift up and then go inside. Another thing is this is significantly cheaper, well, about half the price as this was back in the day. I paid $110 for this. Back in the day, this was $220, so that is exactly half. And this thing is taller than I would expected next to this. I thought this was going to be way taller, but the main reason I would use this crane over this crane is because of the weight capacity this can hold. That's why I have 2 cranes. That's one of the reasons. The other reason is because of the story behind this, and I bought this kind of as a successor to this one because I didn't think I'd ever find one of these again. But now I have both of them, and they're both cool. You can also see where you put the hook on this one. There's also a certain thing I have to pan down. There's a little hook where you can put this hook when it's all the way down. This one does not have motorized functions, whereas this one does. Now let's get into lifting with both cranes. I'm going to do it with both cranes so we can see what the load capacity is of both cranes. We're going to start with the city crane with this Volvo battery box from the Volvo EC230 and FMX truck set. And you can see it picks it up, but it does provide like the weight, like this is what it's supposed to look like. And it's a lot more weight. And yeah, okay, you could make the argument, I don't have both chains hooked up, but there's not really a good way to do that. With this crane, there is a good way to do that, but it does pick it up. But this thing, the big Technic crane makes it look a lot easier. Earlier, you may have seen that this thing was going a little slow when I was putting the boom up and kind of extending it, not with the time lapse, obviously, but the reason it's like that, and it's not fast, like the stabilizers, they come out really fast. The reason the boom doesn't do that is because the gearing is meant for heavier loads. So if you were to go really fast, it's not going to pick up as heavy loads. With this gearing, it's meant for heavier loads, so it's going to go a little bit slower. You can kind of see what I mean there with going slow. It is a little bit faster, but it is still pretty slow. Now it is time to hook this battery box up. I actually have to bring this down a little bit more. So I'm going to use my hand, but on a real construction site, there would be construction workers hooking this up, like hooking the chains up to the actual hook. And now it's ready to be lifted up, which I'm going to do that now. And it's going to go, and it's going to kind of take a minute, but it'll lift off the ground. It only stopped because I didn't have another point. When you're using these controllers, you have to have it within the other sensor, that kind of black arch part like it is on this. You have to have it like that, because if I were to put it under my desk, you hear I'm hitting it, it won't go. I have to point it directly at it. But you can see it's lifting it up. I'm going to roll the time lapse. Now it's all the way up there pretty much. I don't want to go directly up to the very top because theoretically you want to do that. But now it can be delivered up to a higher story if you so needed it to be. And yes, this does not tip because of these stabilizers. I've even found I don't even really need the stabilizers to be out in the first place because it won't tip even with the stabilizers. Now, this is a pretty light load. I don't know about heavier loads, but with this load, you don't really need the stabilizers. Now I'm going to bring this back down, and I'm going to time lapse this. It's going to take forever. I wanted to actually show the gears moving in there when this is going up or down. Wait, that's up, one down. Yeah, you can see the gears moving in there, and this is actually the spool. Now we are back on ground level, and I will actually put this down, kind of guide it a little bit, and then unhook the chains. Unhook this side. And there we are. While we do have the hook down here, I did want to point out that this is supposed to be black where the red is. I chose red because it looks a little bit better and it's more of like a caution marking. And on the topic of markings, everything you see graphic-wise are stickers on this. I did not have to replace any of the stickers. I didn't have to add any stickers because all of the stickers that are supposed to be on this are on this. So I didn't have to order a new sticker sheet, which I know those things are expensive. I'm so glad I didn't have to order a sticker sheet. Also, these lights were missing. I put these lights back on. I'm going to figure out a mirror situation. I have a couple ideas, so I'm going to do that eventually. And there's also supposed to be some lights on this light bar. I haven't got those on yet, but I'm trying to figure out if I want to put them on or if I just want to leave this more sleek. Another thing I wanted to point out here, yes, the cab does open and there's just a seat in there. There's no like special controls in there. Like the Volvo excavator set that I have has like little controls in there. Even the front end loader, like you see, and has the controls in there. So, I mean, back in the day, they didn't really put that sort of detail in there, so it's fine the way it is. Also, with the battery situation on the back, they very cleverly did this really good. I'm going to actually pan my camera over here. So this entire piece comes off because on both sides you have to put in new batteries. And so I'm glad that they did this. It's a little bit of a pain to get it lined up to put it back on, but you probably won't have to change the batteries that often, so it's really not that bad. I am going to do a time lapse of me putting the crane back into road mode. Let's talk about the used market on these. I'm going to go off of Brick Economy and Bricklink. So the value brand new sealed, never been opened, is $429 according to Brick Economy. The used value is $200, but there's a range of, the range is about $189 to $240. I found this for $150 with just very small pieces missing on it, like stuff that to the naked eye would never be noticed. And so for me to get this at $150 is quite a bargain. I don't think that is out there. That's a 1 in 100 chance that you could find one like that at such a great price. In terms of Bricklink, the cheapest one on Bricklink is $173 US, but it's being sold by a person in Norway at the time of this being filmed. In terms of the most expensive one on Bricklink is $876. That is for a brand new sealed version. I am not paying almost $900 for this crane. There, I said it. I'm not paying $900 for any Lego set. There, I said it. As always, every time you go buy a used Lego set or used anything, do your research, make sure the seller is legitimate, make sure if you want all the parts, you find one with all the parts included and ask for pictures. And even then, it can still be, if it looks complete, the functions could be broken, and the functions can actually be broken transport, because what happened actually is I transported this, took it on vacation with me, and there was this little cable in here, and it got off the track when it was shaking in my truck going down the road, and it didn't want to have the crane go out, so that's another possibility. So what are my finishing thoughts? I think 9-year-old me, if I had this fully built as a 9-year-old me would be overjoyed and have so much fun. I'm having so much fun. 20-year-old me is having so much fun with this, but 9-year-old me, I can only imagine. This is probably the set that I wished for years to have back in my collection. And I knew one day, I was going to find one that wasn't $400 or $500, or a used one like this that wasn't like crazy $200-$300. I just had to wait and see, and that's what I did. And now I have this back in my collection. It'll be a keeper forever in my collection, and I'm going to do a few more modifications as a throwback to the original one. Maybe write in here with magic marker like something about the history of it, because it just means that much to me. Those are my thoughts on this. Let me know yours down in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to The Wheel Brick, follow The Wheel Brick on Instagram, and like the video if you like content like this. With that said, I will see you next video.